Hello again, my name is Connor Owens with the Condor team, and we are here to talk more about Warpath, our next hack and slash RPG. So, what's new? Well, it's been about 3 weeks since our last update, and we've accomplished a lot. We've implemented a few major systems: our questing system, our enemy system, and our ability and combat systems. Alongside those, we've implemented our damage systems, our experience systems, and added more functionality to our superclass interactables. We've also developed a blockout for our environments, for our town, our tutorial level, and some interiors. We have also made progress towards our second tile set, the forest, which will go from a dark forest area to something a bit more sinister. So, what are quests? From the under-the-hood perspective, they're just a collection of goals. They're scriptable objects inside of Unity, and they utilize the delegate pattern, making the system extremely decoupled from the rest of the project. And since we're using delegates and events, we've also decided to look past just this system and add events to pretty much anything the player is going to interact with or utilize. And some of the related systems that use these delegates or events are our experience system and our loot system, which is going to allow us to work with the enemy that called the on death, so we can calculate the correct amount of experience per that enemy and give the correct amount of loot or item rewards for that enemy as well. We've also developed some editor functions for our quests. These will be used to generate a large amount of quests for us that we can then tweak as needed. This system does have a few bugs still, however, it's just in the UI displays portions of the actual quests. Next up is our enemy base class, and this is a subclass of our interactables. This system is completely state-driven, and players will be using a command pattern to interact with interactables and the enemies. So depending on the actual interact subclass, the command will change. For example, we will attack enemies, but we will also open chests. Both of them require us to move to that interactable object, and once we get to their range for interaction, we will then proceed with our do command. Enemies will also have an outline when you mouse over them. Actually, all interactables will have an outline when you mouse over them. Red will be given to enemies, and white will be given to everything else. Alongside that, enemies will also display their names differently. Enemies' names will be displayed towards the upper middle portion of the screen, all while NPCs and other interactables will have their names displayed slightly above their actual physical in-game objects. So next up is our ability system, and abilities are built to be modular and work with both players and enemies, as well as any other object that wants to have an ability, such as if we open a chest and it explodes. They are scriptable objects, and abilities do not compute damage directly. However, they do determine the method of dealing damage while also providing conditionals for applying any multipliers to damage. Damage is determined by the attacker's stats and the defender's stats. The damage looks something like this. And here's an image of our ability class inside of the editor. As you can see here, there's a bunch of variables that we can tweak and change as we want this ability to be handled. And of course, it's not shown, but at the bottom of this, there's also a slot for adding the effect that we want. So abilities, say if we want to create a fireball, we can put the fireball on our player, and we can also put it on an enemy, and they will both be the same fireball. However, their damages will be wildly different since it's based off the stats and not the actual fireball. So, what's next? This was the past 2 weeks of development, past 3 weeks of development. So what is the next 2 steps of our development going to look like? So we have a UI component for our abilities, which is going to be our skill tree system, as well as we're going to determine and narrow down the classes we're going to make for this semester. Right? We're looking at having one melee class and one range class for the player to pick from. Alongside that, we also hope to have some environments completed, as well as the tutorial and some other really cool things. So next up is going to be some gameplay, and this is just inside of a test environment, and the lighting is all, it's just made to showcase the coalescence of all these systems we just kind of talked about. It's not set up to be anything visually spectacular or anything. Hope you guys enjoy, and thank you for listening. I'm Condor Owens with the Condor team, and this is Warpath.